state my name and the year I graduated. My name is Matthew Wynne, and I graduated in 1987.
Okay. So, what are some of your best memories of coming to law school at UConn?
What are some of my best memories of coming to law school at UConn? Well, first of all, the people. I met some wonderful people, very interesting people, all different types of personalities. They didn't all fit into one mold, which was nice. There was a variety of people with a variety of goals, and they were all very excited about becoming lawyers and going to law school. And I enjoyed the professors who were stimulated my thinking and were very enthusiastic about the subject they taught. And I remember being involved in Professor Michael Sheldon's criminal trial clinic, and that was excellent. That was probably the most exciting thing I did here, because I was actually working in actual courts with real clients who were charged with crimes, and I actually got the opportunity to act, to be a real lawyer under the supervision of a professor while still in law school, which I really wanted to do because I wanted to be a little bit prepared for the next step, which was after graduation, actually working as a lawyer. And Professor Sheldon was very excited about leading the clinic and very excited about giving us, all of us students, an opportunity to sample what it's like to be a real lawyer in a real courtroom and defend somebody in an actual criminal case.
That's great. That's great. Do you have any bad memories of law school?
Bad memories of law school that I have. Well, at the beginning, I was a little apprehensive, and I was unsure of what to expect, and I wasn't sure if I would actually succeed and graduate. So I was the apprehension, and also at the beginning there was a lot of studying. I hadn't been in school for a while, so there was an adjustment from being out of school to being in school and studying many hours, and so I suppose the adjustment was maybe the worst part of it, since I'd been out of school for many years since college, and also just being unsure of whether I would do well on the exams, and so, but overall, it was a positive experience.
Okay. Are you still friends with anyone from that time in your life?
Actually, I haven't. No, I haven't stayed in touch with people. Some of these graduates have gone to other parts of the country to live, and some of them planned it. Like one, I roomed with somebody named John Ranucci, who was from Rhode Island. I think he went back to Rhode Island to practice law. And so no, I haven't maintained any connection with anybody who in my class, unfortunately. And at the last law school reunion, only a few people from my class showed up. But it was nice to see them. I saw Elizabeth Brennan, who I remembered, and Matthew Gordon at the last reunion, and it was nice to talk to them.
Good, good. So what's something you learned here at UConn Law that you brought into your working life?
I would say mostly the thing that I learned here that I transferred into my life as a lawyer were writing and analytical skills, and knowing how to research the law, finding cases that were on point, and going into court and feeling kind of confident because I'd already been in court as a student in the criminal trial clinic, and so I'd already had the experience, which I so much wanted before I graduated. And learning also, I remember Dean George Shatsky said during he gave a speech to us on our first day that we came in the first year, and he said, in law, you have to get used to the fact that often, or a good part of the time, there's no clear black and white or right or wrong, but it's a matter of nuance, and so you learn to get used to that that there very often is not a clear right and wrong. You just argue the best, provide the best argument you can in a situation where it's not like a math problem where the correct answer is 5 or 7 or something, and you provide the most persuasive argument you can. So that was something I'll always remember Dean Shatsky's speech, because that kind of prepared me for what was to come.
That's great. I think we have time for one more question. Let's see. If you could relive one day of your time at the law school, what would it be?
If I were to relive one day of my time in the law school, actually, I received I did a final exam in constitutional law, written in response to a question, and the professor at the time said that I had provided the best answer to that question, which was very nice for my ego. The other question I didn't do so well on, but and he said that most of the students had floundered on that question. But this one question, he said he really liked my response, and so that made me feel really good, because that was for some reason the question just clicked in my mind, and it's almost like the answer wrote itself, and I just did it. Sometimes you're lucky, you get a question that just happens to fit in with your mindset, and that was what happened. So it was just very easy. So I remember that, and in life you don't often get those moments, but it was a very nice moment, a very fortunate moment.
That's great. Is there anything else you want to say?
Yeah, law school provided me with a career that I didn't have before, and it was intellectually stimulating. And I ended up going to work in state government and conducting hearings as a hearings officer, and learning to ask the right questions of people who were in the hearings. I think I did a little bit of the moot court experience, and that kind of prepared me too to learn to think on my feet and think spontaneously, because when you're conducting a hearing, the answers are always changing, and so you have to keep changing the pattern of questioning that you were originally planning to ask, because new answers provoke a new line of questioning. So you learn to think on your feet and be spontaneous. So I think law school overall was a very positive experience.